Today to recognize Two-Spirit and Indigenous LGBTQIA+ Awareness Day. The Two-Spirit flag showcases a rainbow with two eagle feathers to symbolize the balance of masculine and feminine spirits. The celebration at City Hall featured drumming and cultural performances. Organizers say the day is meant to honor and acknowledge Two-Spirit people within the community. They say the recognition is a reminder of Indigenous representation in Canada.
And so today is a practice of remembering who we are, being who we are, and understanding that it's beautiful to be queer. It's beautiful.
1776! 1776 will never be conquered. That spirit of human liberty is bigger than America. It's the human soul, and it's spreading out worldwide, demanding its liberty, and we will have 1776 come hell or high water.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? The one and only James Williams, Dark Waters, and I'm back. Yesterday I was debating, trying to figure out how we're going to tackle kind of content for this week, because I don't just like going breaking news, this happened, breaking news, this happened. And as you guys know, it's whack to do that, quite frankly. Yeah, you can give your opinion on what's going on in the news, but deep insights into the news is what we do over here. And so what I decided to do to help us moving forward is I'm starting to frame out, move that out of the way, the spiritual cities that we are at war with in this nation. And this frame is going to get built bigger and bigger and bigger. And just so you guys can see it. So I want to show you this graph, and I'll be referring to this graph over and over and over again. So you have an understanding of it. Then we'll go to the news. So the spiritual system: Babylon, Assyria, and Islamic spiritual system. Babylon: seduction and luxury and idolatry, deception and witchcraft. They target the heart and minds and loyalty. So this is the system. This is what their power base is. This is what their weapon is. This is what they target. And this is how the Lord judged them, right? So Babylon, its power base was seduction, luxury, and idolatry. Its weapon was deception and witchcraft, target, heart, and loyalty. God's judgment was destruction and exposure. Assyria, power base was fear, domination, and warfare. Weapon, terror and siege. Target, will and safety. God's judgment, it was overthrown. The Islamic spiritual system, power base, legalism, false revelation, control. Weapon, scriptural twist and religious submission. Target, mind and worship structure. And God's judgment, final judgment of the nations will be brought low. And so when we start talking about this area of judgment, there's the great white throne judgment. There's the judgment in Revelations. There's end time judgment, but then there's judgments that get released into the earth daily, weekly, and monthly. All right. This map is going to expand significantly. And right now there's no scriptural support there. I'll add that there. Matter of fact, I'm going to pause and I'll just go ahead and add the scriptural support for people who be like, oh, where you get that from? What make you think that's true? Blah, blah, blah. But I wanted to give you a basic outline. So when I say, these people are Babylonians, these people are Assyrians, because we're talking from a spiritual city perspective. But I want you to have this. So as I use these terms, they make sense to you. You understand what I'm saying? All right. Let's get into some news that's going on right now. And I think it's important that we get into some of that news. Because it's some wild stuff going on out here in the streets. The first thing we need to hit on is the murder of multiple CEOs. Multiple CEOs. That's not being covered in the mainstream news at all. And the reason why it's not being covered in the mainstream news is because you saw how the left behaved when the healthcare CEO was murdered. But it's a little bit deeper in my opinion, than what you would originally believe. It's understood that many of the corporations in America have been in business with the cartel. and it's also understood that the cartel is being rolled up and that the FBI is being extremely active. And so behind the scenes, clearly there are some things going on that we're not aware of. I'll say this. Outside of Pam Bondi, I personally believe that Kash Patel and Dan Bongino and a whole bunch of other people are doing their job. I don't trust Pam Bondi at all. You can never get me to trust Pam Bondi at this point in time. But that's not even, it's a central issue, but it's not the issue. There's movement happening, and you always know there's movement happening when people get murdered. Now, CEOs don't get murdered. Nobody walks up on a CEO and busts him in the back of the head. And on top of that, CEOs don't get murdered and people get away with it. Remember the CEO of Atlantic Records, or one of the record companies, was murdered by his two twin sons, and the two twin sons went to prison. But the twins were being molested by their parents, and then they kept telling people nobody would help them. And so then they murdered the two parents. It's all over the news. Forgot the name of the Hernandez twins, or Hernandez, whatever, those two brothers. Remember, the system went full steam ahead at prosecuting those boys. And they were kids at that time. Now they're grown men. And they would not let that slide. So when you see the system letting the assassination of CEOs sliding, you know it's something going on there. And this young man starts to touch on it, but he's very young. And so he doesn't have the advantage of time, in his opinion. But he's starting to touch on it. Take a look.
Are you wondering why the news won't tell you that another CEO was shot and killed? It's probably because of how the world reacted to Luigi and Brian Thompson, cheering on the fact that the man who played a role in denying millions of Americans health care was shot dead outside a lobby in New York City. Well, on Monday, Wesley LePatner, the CEO of a subsidiary of Blackstone, an asset manager who manages about $1 trillion in assets, was shot dead. LePatner was CEO of Bright, Blackstone's real estate income trust. But all the news publications about this stay away from the word CEO. They minimize her role. And it's because they know the word CEO will catch your attention. Bright is directly responsible for drastically increasing home prices in this country, making it near impossible for anyone to afford a new home, let alone young Americans to dream about owning one in their future. They were founded in 2017 and poured tens of billions of dollars into buying up homes in bulk, especially in the Sunbelt region. So far, they've taken over $105 billion worth of homes off the market. What they do is buy homes in bulk for cash. They outbid anyone else, and then they put them up for permanent rent. Take them off the market. You can't buy them. In some areas, Bright has been able to acquire monopoly power for themselves, allowing them to drive up the rent prices in entire areas. Because the only people they're competing against are themselves. If you live in the Sun Belt and have experienced high rent or impossible home prices, chances are Bright has played a role in that. So it makes sense that the institutions and ruling class don't want to name this connection to this killing, because then people will start educating and talking about it. We live in a late-stage capitalism that has created these mega corporations wielding trillions of dollars in wealth that they use to maximize the wealth they extract out of you. That's why they're buying up all the homes. They want to make sure you're paying the most possible to them, or paying rent to them forever. This should be illegal. If you learned something, follow me for more. Thank you.
Now, I'll say this about the young man. His eyes are awake and he's aware. But what he doesn't understand is it is your age group that voted these people into power. Your liberal stances in your age group voted this in. So this came in literally kicked in under Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. And BlackRock, Blackstone, and all the rest of the corporations are part of the World Economic Forum, where it's their goal and mission to, well, you will have nothing, you will own nothing, and you will like it. And so the problem is this younger generation is being confused into thinking that, oh, it's capitalism that's the problem. No. It's predatory capitalism, provoked and supported by liberal minds and liberal idiots. That's the problem. So the solution is socialism in their mind. No, that's not the solution. Here's the issue. You have to be fully educated on the globalist plan and globalist agenda. Yes, they're buying up every house on the market they can get their hands on. Why? Because They don't want any more single family households. Why? Because they want 15-minute cities. Why? Because they want to bring their control grid in place, and their control grid does not work if you own a house. They need smart cities. Why are there fires in California again? Smart cities, control grid. Point blank, period. So how does his generation beat this? You know how his generation beats it? His generation needs to become real estate investors. They don't need to be sitting on a sofa crying and whining and bitching and moaning. You need to become their competition. Well, we can't compete with them. The hell you can't compete with them. It's millions of you guys. Millions. Then you add in the fact that we have cancer rates skyrocketing, going at levels that we've never seen before, sickness and illness skyrocketing due to the injections that people took. It's the greatest time on the planet to be a real estate investor. You have elderly people falling dead left and right. And they know that you so damn liberal minded that you won't even get out and compete, because they've taken your generation and made you guys, everybody gets a trophy generation. So you sit there and cry and whine. They're taking my generation and just beat us into the dirt with you. Use you to beat the generation that could save you into the dirt. And it's going to take, the 90s, 80s, 70s, 80s, 90s generation to save these damn idiots. Because they have some knowledge, some understanding, but not a whole bunch of it. Some truth, but not enough truth. But they're prideful. I know, I'm young. I know you're wrong. Okay, dummy. If it keeps going on the route it's going, you're going to be forced into a smart city. But that's the globalist plan. And that's why they had to take this generation and break them. And they've been broken. So even what he's saying right now, the CEOs get murdered, blah, blah, blah. And it's the late stage capitalism. No, bro. No, it's globalism. Predatory globalism. Now, I will agree with some things that I'm seeing. I like a lot of the things that Donald Trump is doing. But when you take a close look at Donald Trump's decisions, he's putting an infrastructure in place for an AI grid. Whether he's consciously knows he's doing it or not, he's putting the infrastructure in place for it. And I'm just going to tell you my opinion on what has happened with Donald. I think he made some certain deals with certain people that he's going to push one agenda along a certain way, and then he's going to destroy the old enemies. But those old enemies like Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton and Barack Obama, they don't matter anyway to the future, because it's an AI future. It's a non-human future. So the old guard is getting ready to get sacrificed. And I'm going to tell you, I'm watching it very carefully, because it's my duty and my responsibility to watch it carefully, not to just be a Donald Trump sycophant. Oh, Donald Trump's the best. Oh, he's the best. But to watch it carefully to see where things may be going wrong. Hold on, let's go to the next thing. And I wanted to go to Tucker Carlson. Now, he's going to say something, and I hate snippets, but I don't want to go find the whole thing. So it's not Tucker's fault. It's my fault. But it seems as if the spiritual awakening that men are having, no, I'm wrong. Tucker's a logical man struggling with the spiritual nature of things that are in front of him. And this is the natural man's journey into understanding what forces we are up against. And I think he's articulating it in a manner in which only a natural man, what I mean by natural means you think logically, can articulate these things. We're not natural men and women here, though. We are men and women of the spirit realm. We understand that everything happens in that realm that manifests its way in this realm. And so we understand that there's Moabites in this realm, people who are half human, half something else. We understand that there's Canaanites in this realm, people who sacrifice children unto Baal. We understand all this. Nothing is hidden from us. The issue is, how can we see it all? Although it's not hidden, it doesn't mean that you see it. Something can be right there in front of you, but you just ain't looking at it. And that's what we're in the process of doing. But I want to touch upon Tucker Carlson real quick. Let's take a listen to Tucker.
The main thing they want you to believe is the supernatural is not real. Their main interest is in convincing you that the supernatural is not real. Why has that been so important for 80 years? For you to convince me the supernatural is not real. Why do you care if I think the supernatural is real? And then you have to ask motive. Like, it's not a profit motive. Like, does it make them rich to deny that there's supernatural forces? No. What is that? And I don't know the answer, but the obvious answer is, well, because they sort of know they're working for supernatural forces, actually. But that they take physical form, that they're not just like some ethereal, they're not just shadows floating around, specters, fog, that they're physical. Like, they're as real as the arm of your chair. People are subject to the supernatural, so they do things that are not natural, like kill themselves. That's why we're the only species that kills itself, right? So when you kill yourself, whether slowly or all at once, you're being acted on by forces outside of you, spiritual forces, obviously. I'm just trying to apply logic here.
And everything that Tucker says makes sense when you look at stuff like this. What makes a man who's an actor, a prominent man, do this? What makes him do that? What makes a man behave that way? What makes a person do this to themselves? What makes you do that? That's a spirit inside of that man looking to gain expression. And now it's got a physical expression. Just like this is a spirit inside this man that's looking to get expression, to gain physical expression. And it's got it. It's taken over. It's like, I've got him now. And now I get to express myself as the woman that I am. Yes, yes. I have him as well. I will show the world what we truly look like. Look at us. Gaze upon my beautiful face. Yes, 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 yes. Look upon me. I am beautiful. You will accept me as I am. Yes, you will accept me now. And that's what we're looking at. But see, that's on a personal level. And they just doing things that personally affect them. Now, when we get to a higher level, which is what we're talking about, we get to the highest level, then we run into the real damn demons. Yeah, we run to the real ones. Now, these are the ones that want to take over and control everything. They want to control everything. Not just where you go, not just where you sit, not just what you eat, but they want to control the environment themselves. This one right here need to go to prison. But I want you to hear what he had to say. Hold on.
Another example is the array of technologies, often referred to collectively as geoengineering, that potentially could help reverse the warming effects of global climate change. One that has gained my personal attention is stratospheric aerosol injection, or SAI, a method of seeding the stratosphere with particles that can help reflect the sun's heat in much the same way that volcanic eruptions do. An SAI program could limit global temperature increases, reducing some risks associated with higher temperatures and providing the world economy additional time to transition from fossil fuels. This process is also relatively inexpensive. The National Research Council estimates that a fully deployed SAI program would cost about $10 billion yearly. As promising as it may be, moving forward on SAI would also raise a number of challenges for our government and for the international community. On the technical side, greenhouse gas emission reductions would still have to accompany SAI to address other climate change effects, such as ocean acidification, because SAI alone would not remove greenhouse gases from the atmosphere. On the geopolitical side, the technology's potential to alter weather patterns and benefit certain regions of the world at the expense of other regions could trigger sharp opposition by some nations. Others might seize on SAI's benefits and back away from their commitment to carbon dioxide reductions. And as with other breakthrough technologies, global norms and standards are lacking to guide the deployment and implementation of SAI and other geoengineering initiatives.
And that's when we get into these high-level demonic infested vessels trying to destroy the whole world. trying to destroy me and you, trying to destroy generations of families. Why? Because it's their duty. It's their responsibility. It's the role, it's their contribution to their kingdom. And quite frankly, the real problem is we are unaware of the fact that these kingdoms exist. The spiritual kingdom of Babylon, Assyria, the Islamic, I would call that Mecca. These kingdoms exist. And if you're a Christian, you're a part of a kingdom, and you should be instituting your own kingdom. You should be doing things to bring the kingdom that you're a part of into this earth. But nope, we don't do that. Not at all. Our focus is on the wrong things. And therefore, we get these results. And we get these horrific results with these people oppressing us and trying their best to destroy us. But I'll tell you what we're going to do. Me and you over there, we all going to keep hitting this hardcore. Y'all going to keep sharing the information, going to keep on spreading. And we're going to get this out to people, to where people can understand that this really is a battle of kingdoms. It really is.